This week is Unit 1, Week 3. In class, you will be reading Speech in the Virginia Convention by Patrick Henry and Speech in the Convention by Benjamin Franklin. As you can tell from their titles, they are both speeches. Specifically this week, we will be looking at persuasive speeches. But first we need to determine what a speech is. A speech is written works that are delivered orally. So anything that you write down but then intend to present to an audience orally is considered a speech. What is a persuasive speech? Persuasive speeches are meant to make an audience think a certain way or to take action. They are meant to convince them. Persuasive speeches are most effective when they hold the attention of a friendly audience or convince a hostile one to change its mind. The author of the first piece is Patrick Henry. On the right-hand side of your screen, you will see a picture of a painting of him. A little bit about Patrick Henry. He was elected to the Virginia House of Burgesses in 1765. The House of Burgesses was the first assembly of elected representatives, and they were meant to make decisions for the colony. He was once accused of treason by Great Britain in 1765 after delivering a speech in opposition to the Stamp Act. The Stamp Act was instituted by Great Britain and taxed the colonies for a variety of things. He was a very powerful orator and actually considered to be the most powerful orator of the American Revolution. People who heard him speak would say that he had the ability to move listeners to anger, fear, or laughter very, very easily. He helped to inspire colonists to unite to win independence from Great Britain during the American Revolution. He was a huge proponent of getting the colonists to realize that they did not want to remain under the control of the British. After the American Revolution, he served as the governor of Virginia for some time. The speech by Patrick Henry that you're going to read this week is called the Speech in the Virginia Convention. You may have heard of this speech a little bit in your history classes. It was given on March 23, 1775, at St. John's Church in Richmond, Virginia. He begins the speech with a very respectful rebuttal to those who had spoken before him. Many of them were talking about how we needed to find ways to get along with Great Britain and to make amends and to be respectful and fair. He did not see things that way, but he wanted to be very respectful of his fellow colonists. In his speech, he denounces the British king and urges the colonists to fight for their independence. He does not believe that Great Britain has had the colonies' best interest at heart, and in fact, he feels that they have taken advantage of the colonies in many ways. So he urges the colonists to take action. The most famous line from this speech is "Give me liberty or give me death," which actually concludes the speech. The most interesting thing about this speech is that it obviously led directly to the American Revolution. Many people leaving the convention said that they later couldn't remember the exact words that he had said, but they felt moved to do something, which means that his persuasive speech was very, very persuasive and worked well. If the colonists had actually lost the Revolutionary War instead of winning it, based upon the information in this speech, Patrick Henry could have been executed for treason by Great Britain. He is extremely disrespectful to Great Britain, the king, and the government of that country. I would like you to answer the following questions based upon the first part of this slideshow. Number 1, what is a persuasive speech? Number 2, what was the Virginia House of Burgesses? Number 3, what could have happened to Henry had the colonists lost the American Revolution? Please make sure that you answer these questions in complete sentences in the submission block for this assignment. The second speech that you're going to read is by Benjamin Franklin. He was a very important American. He made contributions in the fields of literature, journalism, science, diplomacy, education, and philosophy. Although not being highly educated himself, as he grew up, he had as he got older, he had amazing ideas, created amazing things, and became one of the most important Americans ever. He was a strong leader in the movement for independence. He felt that the colonies needed to create their own government and be their own people. During the American Revolution, he actually left the colonies and went to France, where he sought help from the French, who actually agreed to help the colonies during the American Revolution. This is considered very pivotal in the winning of the American Revolution. Without the help of the French, it's unlikely that the colonists would have won. He was a delegate from Pennsylvania to the Constitutional Convention, which is where delegates from 12 different states went to hammer out what the new government of these would look like. However, and he delivered some of his best speeches ever during this convention. However, he was aging at the age of 81, and because of his age and his tiredness, he would write his speeches, but would often have others deliver them. He is the only American to sign all 4 documents that established the new nation. He signed the Declaration of Independence, the Treaty of Alliance with France, the peace treaty with England that concluded the American Revolution, and the Constitution. Franklin admits in his speech that any document created by a committee will have its weaknesses, and that's what this was. It was a group of people kind of come together and decide how an entire country should be governed. He realized that not everybody was going to get everything they want, and it was going to have some weaknesses. But he also acknowledged that the weaknesses in the document would not be as big as the possible weaknesses in the men who actually enforced the rules in the document. So he urged the colonists to accept the Constitution as written. I have a couple more questions that I would like you to answer in the submission block for this assignment. Who delivered Franklin's speech at the convention? What are 2 areas that Franklin is known for contributions in? What state did Franklin represent at the convention? Please make sure that you answer these questions, a total of 6 from the first half of the PowerPoint and the second half of the PowerPoint, in complete sentences in the submission block for this assignment.